In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a script for your agents to use. So on the left side of your page, there's a little script tab that you're going to want to click on, and it's going to take you to this Create New Script page if you don't already have any scripts. So since we're starting fresh and we don't have any scripts that we already made, this is what we're going to see. The first thing that's going to be asking you is what kind of script is this, right? Is this an inbound script, meaning this is the script that your agent's going to follow when somebody calls the agent? Or is this an outbound script? Is this something that your agent's going to follow when it's making a call to someone else? So the agent's actually calling somebody, not being called. And then this is for both. So this is just saying that this is a generic script meant for all different kinds of communication. So if they're calling in or if they're calling out, we follow the same process whether they're calling in or out. So we'll just select both for now, and we'll proceed with the next thing, which is just naming your script. So what kind of name do we want to give our script? So for this sakes, I'm just going to put demo, but you can name this whatever you would like. This is just for your record keeping. So if you've got tons of different scripts, you'll be able to recognize them easy. Um, and then the third thing is going to be the script builder here. So this is a new addition that we've made. So a completely new interface on how to create scripts, a little bit more structured. So it's a little easier to build them and think through how you want your agent to communicate with your customers and how to build the process effectively. So we have two different ways to do it. You can either choose a template, so one that we've already pre-built for you that you just need to go in and kind of touch up based off of your agent and your company situations, or you can start adding the components manually and start building them yourself. So for the demo's sake, I'm going to go ahead and select a template because this will go over each of the different individual types of scripts that we have. And once your modal pops up here, you'll be able to see the different templates that we have. So you can either search templates or you can go into these little tabs and try to find one that's closest to your use case and kind of use that to kick you off for the type of script that you need to build. So let's go ahead and just select an AI real estate assistant. All right. So this is just an example, but we have tons of different ones that you can use. Technical support, onboarding guide, learning assistant, healthcare assistant. Again, not providing any medical advice, stuff like this, right? Gives you a little bit of an idea of what can be done. And here on the right, you'll see the template preview, and this will just give you an idea of the flow of the script itself. So the first thing that's going to happen is the agent's going to greet itself. Hello, I'm your AI real estate assistant from your agency name or your company name. I can help you find properties. Let's go ahead and use this and kind of see what this is about. So as soon as you click that, it's going to import that in there for you. You can go ahead and start to analyze what's going on here. So we have built this in a way that works best with large language models. That is basically what powers agents today and how they've been trained to follow specific processes. So we're really trying to take advantage of that. Um, so this first step here is a greeting. So this essentially just says, how's the agent going to introduce itself? And this will override the greeting that you have set in your agents if this is attached to the agent. So this kind of comes first, um, especially if it's an outbound call, right? If it's an inbound call, we'll go into that later. But let's go ahead and take a look at the different components that exist that we can use to build our scripts. So the first step is a greeting. Then the second step is wait for a response. And so you might be asking, why is this necessary? The reason that is because AIs tend to want to do more, not less. So they want to overachieve, and that can sometimes be problematic. We have to sometimes tell them to stop and pause in a certain flow of conversation. And we need to explicitly make that clear, or else they may not do that, and they may continue to speak or do something that we don't want them to do. And this little pause sequence really does help your agent follow a specific structure. So that's why we have this. It's really important after anything we have the agent say or do that we make it clear that that's where we want them to stop. Okay. And the third step here is a different kind of component called context. And so you're able to provide context to your agent throughout the script. Okay. So this here says focus on understanding property requirements and preferences, collect location, price range, property type, and must have features. Don't make specific claims about market trends or investment potential unless based on verified data offered to connect with a human agent for viewing or detailed discussions. Okay. So this is just kind of setting the ground on a neutral state, saying don't talk about anything that you aren't certain about. Um, and so once we hear something back from them, how can I assist you with your property search today? They'll say something. And this is pretty generic, right? So this is to help you kind of just kick off and have something to work with. So the next step here is this to help you find the right property. Like to understand your preferences better. Are you looking to buy or rent? And what areas are you interested in? And the thing that gets really difficult with building scripts in terms of getting an AI to follow it is AIs are not programmatic, meaning it's not if this, do this, right? So it has its own ability to reason and it can use its own logic to make decisions on what it needs to do next. So the very likelihood that, the dialogue fits perfectly with the script is pretty low. So, for example, somebody might call in and might say something that we're not prepared for, and so this might not be relevant. And that's the beauty of AI agents is we can tell it to follow a specific process, but it can use its reason and logic to not follow the process if it's something that's very out there. It's not something that we prepared for. It can handle that scenario pretty well. But in the event that it is pretty structured, it's what we do expect, then these types of script blocks do help us. And so the next step is typically to try to get a little bit more of an understanding of what they're trying to do. Are they looking to buy or rent? And what are the areas they're interested in? And then again, our stop or wait sequence, meaning don't say anything else, stop right there and wait until we hear something back from them. And there we go. Thank you for sharing that. Can you also tell me your approximate budget and range and what type of property? So you can see how the agent's kind of walking them through the process. And so that's what we want them to do. We want the agent to have control, but we don't want the agent to have too much control. And the biggest, obstacle with building scripts is having the right amount of control given to your agent. And you don't want to give too much control where the agent is completely leading the conversation and it's making the person feel like they're talking to a robot. But we also don't want too little control where the person's just asking a question after question and the conversation is not getting anywhere. It's not getting to the end goal that we're trying to get it to. So that's what this script builder is here to help you do, is try to help get to that end goal of figuring out why they're calling and helping resolve, that need of why they initially called. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on. The last block that we haven't discussed yet is this conditional block, which essentially states, there might be some different scenarios that happen after this. So if a customer says or mentions anything about being interested in a specific property, then respond with, I can tell you more about that property, and then it goes into this. And so this is where we can use cool functions and actions to allow the agent to look up property information and really be able to help answer those questions. If they're not interested in a specific property, would you like me to refine these recommendations? I can adjust the search criteria based on your feedback. These are things our agents can do, connecting them to the internet, giving them the ability to actually search for properties and do cool stuff like that. Then we have this closing block, which essentially says, what do we say once the conversation's ended and, everything's satisfactory? Say this, right? This is what we want you to say. And this is typically where the agent's going to hang up as long as, it doesn't continue from here. Would you like to schedule a time to speak with one of our agents to discuss your property search in more detail? If they say yes, if they say no, then it'll end up ending the call. Thank you for your time today, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how you can build the scripts. And we'll go ahead and I'll just delete these and we can start fresh with a brand new script builder. And we can hit add components manually. It's going to go ahead and insert a greeting for you automatically, as that's what we need to start the script off with. How should the agent introduce itself? And then what we can do is add a wait for response. Very important that you think about this as a turn-based thing. The AI says something, then the human says something. Wait for response, and then what do we want them to say after we hear something back? We can either have a say block, or we can insert a conditional block, or we can insert a context block, giving it some context, and then we can lead into a say, right? That's based off of this context. So you can say something along the lines of like, if they said something along these lines, then I want you to do this. And then the say block can be relevant to the context block. So it has a little bit of pre-knowledge before it says something. So that should give you a good idea. Once you're done, you hit this closing block, and that'll help the agent kind of understand the full flow of what it's trying to do and where it needs to get them. And then once you're done, you simply hit create script, and you'll have your script right here where you can click into it and edit it and adjust it however you need to adjust it. So that's pretty cool. And that is how you build a script. And if you want to attach that to your agent, you just go into your agents tab up here, click into your agent, and then go into the agent setup tab and scroll down to scripts. We'll hit select a script and select the new script that we created demo, which it tells you how many steps there are in that script. And then once we're there, we always have to hit the save button And now our agent has access to that script and will follow that script sequence to the best of its abilities. Remember, they are not programs, they are AI agents, so they have their own ability to think, but these scripts really help them stick to a confined structure of dialogue that we want them to follow. So if there's any questions, feel free to reach us at support@agentvoice.com, and we would be more than happy to assist.